Speaking of big news, who would have thought that Maine would become ground zero for an election integrity question? But it sure has. And we got the perfect guest to give us the news. He's the former Assistant Secretary of State, former Chief Counsel for Investigative Counsel for the House Oversight Committee. Today, he's the leading Republican candidate for governor in Maine. And of course, he's the national spokesman for AMAC, our good friends there. He's our friend, Bobby Charles. Bobby, welcome to the show.
John, it is always a pleasure to be on your show, especially when there's big news.
Yeah, well, there is some news, and who would have thunk you would have opened up a Amazon package and found some missing ballots or unexpected ballots? Looks like we got a case of ballot fraud going on here. Tell us exactly what happened.
You know, John, I have to say this is probably the largest voter integrity scandal in the history of Maine, and maybe in the history of a lot of states that otherwise think they have real systems. Imagine you go out to your doorstep, you open an Amazon box, and you apparently ordered a lightsaber and some rice, and you find 250 freshly minted ballots that you can fill out and send in on behalf of voters that, who knows, maybe are illegal aliens, maybe they're dead, I don't know. Anything. That's what just happened here in the state of Maine. In the state of Maine, this morning, they just found a box filled with freshly minted, straight from the Secretary of State's offices, open ballots that could be used in the next cycle. Now, here is what's crazy about this. In this next cycle, this November, we have two issues. One is voter integrity. Yep. We have the question of whether you do or do not require voter ID. And the second is red flag laws, i.e. you do or do not have your guns confiscated. Right. Very big issues in the state of Maine. How ironic is it that we get literally a fraud within a fraud? We get industrial strength fraud. We get a cheat in terms of voter ballots that are sent out in a box, and if there's one box, there's probably 20 directly from a Secretary of State's office that in turn are intended to stop the referendum that would require IDs so that we don't have fraud. At the end of the day, John, this is the poster child for how Democrats run the show. They try to run it here in Maine with sort of illicit public corruption, and this to me is the most egregious case in recent memory. They literally are trying to steal this election by sending out ballots by the hundreds, 250 in one box, to people who can then fill them in. They just happen to have gone to the wrong people in this case, and in turn try to screw up the Maine voting system. Maybe it's the best thing in the world that this just happened, because this set of referenda really matter. We have to vote yes to get voter ID and no on red flags. Now maybe a lot of Maine voters will be paying attention who might not have known ahead of time.
And we got an FBI now run by Kash Patel, who's not going to yawn at this. It sounds like the FBI is already on the case, right?
That's right. Every indication is that they're taking an interest, and I'll tell you, we've asked them to take an interest as a gubernatorial campaign, but so has the state of Maine's GOP, and frankly, some of our great. We got one great conservative news outlet up here, the Maine Wire, and they are all pushing Kash Patel to open things up.
Yeah, we're going to keep a close eye on it. It's a big one. All right, so you're on the ground, you're campaigning hard. It just feels like Maine is going to be one of those big surprises in 26. You see it in some of the early polling data. I think you see it in the frustration of voters. I was up there for a few hours last month, and there's just a palpable feel that maybe Maine is ready to change a dial that it hasn't changed in a long time. What are you seeing on the ground? What are the issues resonating, and how might the shutdown that the Democrats just forced on us have some impact down at the state level?
Well, so let me just say, this campaign is going vertical, John, and in some ways it's outside my control. It's like a force at work. The Maine voters are saying they are sick and tired of it. They're tired of all these drug traffickers everywhere, needles on the streets, the 10,000 overdoses. They're sick of the taxes, the property taxes, the income taxes, the unaffordability of their energy bill, everything. And they're sick of the nonsense in their schools. They're sick of woke garbage around every turn, and kids who at the 4th grade level can't read, at the 8th grade level can't do math. So they are done with this, and I think I'm feeling that in all 16 counties, and I've been everywhere. I will say that as I look at what's happening in the state of Maine, to me it's indicative of something that is a reflection maybe back into the state of what happened in 2024 in the United States. People are saying we are done with this kind of woke mismanagement and intentional ideological deception.
Yep.
And I think in Maine, and my campaign really illustrates it, we are on a beeline for victory. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the first gubernatorial majority win with House and Senate since 1962. We could win by a plurality, but I honestly think we're more likely the Republicans to win by a majority because the people of the north and the southern part of the states are all suffering these same issues, and they're basically saying we are sick of it.
Yeah, it's just pretty remarkable. All right, so within the Democratic Party, you're beginning to see the impact of the far left and making its more veteran lawmakers panic, which is we don't want to get AOC'd, we don't want to get primaried. So you got a guy like Chuck Schumer, who for years has always argued against shutdowns. By the way, he argued against a shutdown earlier in the year, and then he got completely blown up by it, and now he owns a Schumer shutdown. This is his shutdown. He's the guy that's behind it all. The far left seems to have trapped the rest of the party in a cycle that seems kind of perilous long term.
It is perilous. I mean, to me, John, and maybe you're a fan of baseball like me, this is an unforced, I know you are, this is an unforced error. This is an error that didn't need to happen. What the Democrats have done is they've thrown a fit. And by throwing a fit, they've said they're not going to fund the government after October 1, after the end of September 30, which was yesterday. So they are now putting us in a position where pieces of the government will shut down. What they did is they played right into Donald Trump's hands, because with a paring knife, he is going to get rid of all the wasteful contracts. He'll get rid of a lot of the green contracts. He'll get rid of the full-time employees who are basically just pieces of the bureaucracy. And what I'd love to do as a governor in Maine is literally have that same kind of forced error. You tell me I can't cut this state's bureaucracy, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. I am going to cut it to the bone. And what Donald Trump is doing right now is he's saying there is so much waste in this federal government that the essential services will stay, but the non-essential ones will not get paid for retroactively. And those employees may very well simply be riffed.
Now that's going to be a big change. And that's, I'll tell you what, Republicans aren't going to let them come back either. So this is going to be a more permanent thing. Ralph Norman at the beginning of the show said, I think the savings from this riff and some of the things that the president's going to do could total up into the trillions over the next decade. That is a big statement, but he knows what's going on. He's on the Rules Committee, so pretty interesting. Bobby, I can't wait to see how this issue plays out in Maine. I know you're going to keep us ahead of it. You always do. Great to have you on the show, my friend.
Always a pleasure, John. I appreciate your people and you, of course.
Yeah, back at you, folks. I was just at a great AMAC boot camp in Virginia this past weekend. It is one of the greatest organizations. I'm so proud to be a 5-year card-carrying member, and you can do the same thing. You can join me. You can join Bobby. All you got to do is go to amac.us/justnews. AMAC, amac.us/justnews. You can get a 5-year membership for just a little over $1 a month. There's nothing that costs $1 a month now. Go do it. Reward yourself. You get discounts, news, a great magazine, but most importantly, you get to hang out with fellow patriots like you and I and Bobby. It's such a great organization. Go check it out today. amac.us/